can't hear Rugal.
Great.
Great. We like to hear that. We like to hear that. Well, it is Saturday the 24th. Any plans?
Yes, we are going to Galveston Beach.
Are you going to the beach for real?
Yes.
Oh.
Is it still snowing at home? A little bit of snow, some kind of snow?
No, it's actually a nice day. It's about probably like 70 degrees today, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you missing out. You missing out on that good Youngstown weather.
No,
Missing
I'm
out.
right where I'm supposed to be.
Nah, it's at the beach. Come on, man. You need to be at Mill Creek Park.
Right.
Mill
Creek Park. Right. That's what she's supposed to be at, Mill Creek Park somewhere. Somewhere doing it lovely. Somewhere doing it lovely. All right. Look, listen, we about to jump right into these hot topics, okay?
All right.
You can hear me okay? Everybody can hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I feel like, look, I feel kind of low, but okay. Look, okay, if y'all say y'all can hear me. Look, all right. Okay. So, Rugal, your favorite stuff.
All right. Good.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm bracing myself.
Brace yourself. Lakeisha Golden. Who is she?
I don't know.
Right. But I'm about to tell y'all who she is. She lives in Nashville. Look, about to make her famous off ShopTalk. That's the one that did a GoFundMe account to pay back her PPP. Was that a loan? Yeah, PPP loan.
Yeah.
What's your thought? She got $65 already.
She should have applied for the forgiveness when she had time, and she might still have time, but she better check.
Look at Nick being all nice, and she in Texas. You gotta watch out over there in Texas, Nick. Be careful. Be careful in Texas. You know the slaves was free, and in Texas they just extended it 2 more years before they told anybody. So be careful. Be careful in Texas. They acting up.
They gonna have a tribe to fight today, man, because there's a bunch of us.
Oh, you calling your cousins?
Oh, we all going together.
I heard that. Rugal, what's your thoughts on this young lady who wants people to support her with her GoFundMe?
Well, you know how I kind of feel about GoFundMe. I think it's a good thing if used in the right way, but there, in this case, I mean, she's basically like, help me get this money up to repay them. So she took the money with false pretenses. That's the biggest issue here. Like, she took money that she had no business taking.
True.
And it's a lot of small businesses out here that are struggling and for real, who may be getting blocked from actually getting the money when they need it, or have to go through a whole level of scrutiny when they're actually tied to people's well-being beyond just this one person's selfish act, so there you go. She won't get no
dollar off you.
From me. Not a dime.
What's your thoughts, Amber?
I agree. I think that when you do bad things, it comes back to you, and I really hope that no one donates, because that's a burden she's going to have to carry on her own, because she chose to do it. It's the intentional deception. So
yes,
that's on her, and I hope that people have enough wisdom to know to let people receive their karma that they deserve. I don't think anybody should be giving her money, helping her repay that loan.
Right. I'm like, she already got $65. I'm wondering, like, who gave her $65?
Right.
Who said, okay, you decided to get a PPP loan and now you want to you want us to fund you the forgiveness? Like, who does that?
Yeah.
Lakeisha Golden.
Look. Sounds like narcissistic, honestly.
It does. And then she put up there that she was having, she had a picture of her children, and she said she doesn't want to be away from her children. I already know where y'all going with that, but we're gonna put a pin in that. I would like to introduce our guest that I had to call like last minute. I'm like, listen, this is my homeboy from way back. But I was like, you know, we watch, y'all know the people that's listening to the audience. Y'all know I always say politics. Yes, this is my homeboy, but I still feel the same way about politics. And the people want to know. So, you know, they asked me the questions. I was like, hey, Mayor, can you come on and answer these questions? I got them all written down for you that the peoples want to know in the voice of OT, rest in peace. So I want you all, you lovely people, to give it up for Mayor Jamel Tito Brown.
Welcome.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Good. Yeah. I wanted to figure out, y'all was spilling the tea on somebody, or what was going on before I got on here? Y'all look like y'all was in deep on something. So maybe I'm gonna tune in later and see how when y'all pull the pin out, what comes out of it.
Yeah, tune in later. But we was talking about the young lady who did the PPP loan, and now she has repercussions. So she decided to create a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And she wants people to help her out. I'm like, that's gonna be a long list.
Yeah. But it's amazing. It's amazing what people get that happen during GoFundMe. But we'll see how that works out for her.
And she got $65.
Oh, that's a little ways from where she needs to be, right?
Right. We pretty much know that. I would like to introduce. I'll go with first. Since we got Rugo, we have Amber, and we have Nick, the voice of the community, Mayor Tito Brown.
Good morning. Good
Mayor
morning.
Tito Brown. Look.
That's my mayor.
There it is. There it is. I appreciate it. That sounds like my mother sometime at the grocery store when we go on. She said, that's my mayor. That's my baby too. So.
That's awesome. A lot of people don't know, even like in school, you were the president, like always in that position. So we looked your direction we looked your way for direction all the time. So that's a cool thing.
I'm glad I didn't take us over the edge anywhere. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. That's a lot on your shoulders.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weight on your shoulders. I know that the election is coming up May 4th.
Yep, May 4th. Early voting has already started, so individuals can go out and vote right now. This week is going to be a long week. They've extended early voting till 7 p.m. So it's 8 to 7 up until actually they're gonna vote all the way up until they're gonna have weekend hours as well coming up next weekend. So there's no excuse for individuals who want to go out and vote. They're short. It's only a couple of items on the ballot, one being the mayor and one being president of council.
Oh, that one's up too. See, Rugo usually keep us up on the politics and let us know what's going on. And I'll be like, okay, what's happening?
Rugo, you got to let them know they're all write-in candidates as well. That's where the challenge is going to be for this.
Yeah.
The president of council. Yeah.
So one thing for the viewing audience to know that when you go to vote, you can ask for that list. They're not going to tell you about it, but you got to ask for that list for the write-in candidates.
Wait a minute, what? So I'll go in, I'm just walking in my normal way. So there's no names on the list, I have to write them in?
No, like when you go, you have to write in the person's name. And I believe there has to be a high degree of accuracy, when you do it.
Oh, you got to spell it right too?
Oh yeah. Or very, very close. They could challenge, if I said Brown and they just put BR or BWN, they could challenge that they didn't mean that. So yeah, you've got to be very as close as you can. So if you got a difficult last name, that's going to be a challenge for those individuals with those difficult last names.
Well, what about those people that be on our ankles passing out the information? If you give me an ink pen or an emery board, I'll vote. No, I'm joking.
Jesus.
But those people that be all harassing you. So would they have a list of the candidates' names?
But it depends on each if the candidates have their team out there. Like I've had a team out there since early voting started. And that really at the election, it's just a reminder for those who might not know, but typically the educated voter is pretty well equipped and they understand that this is who I'm going to vote for. But after that, it's just a kind of a reminder.
Okay, so what about those who don't really know who they want to vote for? They're kind of, seeing, or just like, let me watch and see, and how would they know? So they have to go up and say, hey, who are the candidates that are running for president of council? We know who's running for mayor because of the different forums that are out there, but not everybody. And Nick is the voice. So that's why, look, that's why we have her, so she can hear what the people are actually saying as well. So if they don't know who to vote for, is there any way, besides listening to Shop Talk with Mel, rewinding this and figuring out who you want to vote for, is there any way for them to be able to go back and look at, different forums or information? You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the president of council is probably going to be it's probably the most unique that I've seen in some time as it relates to elections, because not one candidate is going to, all three of them are write-ins. Typically you have at least one person that's actually on a ballot. They're write-in candidates. They're trying to become the candidate on the general ballot. So just literature, I think they're going to have to, have literature. They're going to have people at all polling locations to remember me, for write-in candidates. So they're going to have their resources and their people out beating the drum so that you can hear who to put in for write-in.
Now, president of council, what are their duties? What is their job description?
Yeah, the primary function is you're in charge. You're what they call the titular head of the meeting. That you're in charge of the meeting. You run the council meeting. You're the parliamentarian of keeping order of council. You're the making sure that we go through caucus, we go through agenda, and then you kind of conduct the meeting. And every community is different, but that's what happens here. Probably one of the bigger functions is that in absence of the mayor leaving, the president of council would automatically become mayor. That's how it happened when Jay Williams went to work for Obama administration. Then the president of council was Chuck Samron. He became mayor. That's how it is in our charter. So that's one of the bigger pieces that individuals look at. But the president of council runs citywide, but they are really the in charge of the meeting. They run the city council meetings. They don't necessarily have a vote at all. And that's one of the things that, it's more ceremonial at times. But if you know anything about it, you can be influential or you can be engaged in council.
Okay. You brought up Jay Williams. Let me say this first. The thoughts and views of Mel is not the views of the host on Shop Talk with Mel or the guest on Shop Talk with Mel. You said Jay Williams. I'm going to tell you something. I felt some type of way. I'm glad that, I want people to progress. I want people to grow. I want people to advance. So that was nice that he went, he had an opportunity to work with President Obama and his administration, because I like President Obama. However, I felt stabbed in the back. I felt betrayed. I did. I felt like, and I'm going to tell you why, because the promises and the dreams that he gave to say, okay, I'm going to be mayor. We were like, because it was some other people that felt the same way I did. It's like, this is it. This would change. And then it was like, guess what? I got this opportunity. Deuces. And left. And I just felt like, just left us. And I was rooting. I was like behind him. 98%. Wait, 99.9 paternity. I was there, but I felt betrayed. And sometimes when you look at the politics, and y'all know I call it politics, even like with like the school board, people, they use those positions, and I'm using air quotes for the listening audience. When I say they use those positions as stepping stones to get to the next place. And I just feel like, and not to say, for mayor, well, yeah, I'm saying what I'm saying. I just feel like here's a position I can get in so that I can do what I really want to do, but I really don't care. So that's how I felt. Look at Rugal. What you think of Rugal? Go ahead.
I mean, I got a lot of comments. I don't know if I should talk which one I should aim at first, but I'll talk about the J thing. I know there was a lot of disappointment because you buy into a vision, right? You buy into a vision of what it could be. But at the same time, wasn't it his second term that he left in? Okay.
Yeah.
And
That
so
vision was looking good.
okay, yeah, but the thing is though, that was a vision that city council and everybody at that time should have bought into. So that should have, regardless if he left, it should have came to fruition or not. And I'm not trying to measure the 2010 plan. I'm not doing that, right?
Okay.
But what I would say is that for him at that particular point in time, he was in his what would be his last term, because at that time you can only run with city council or mayor
Sure.
for 2
Yeah.
terms. You know what I mean? So and then to take on such a role that would impact, I mean, he went there to be the auto czar, right? And one of our biggest pieces of our economy is tied to Lordstown. I mean, and everything that's going on there now. But I mean, that was such an impactful position with everything that the Obama administration did with cash for clunkers and then trying to revitalize Rust Belt areas and things like that with the auto industry. So, I can understand our disappointment locally, but the goal of what he was going to, what was going to come from that was to impact us in a much greater way. So I'm sure it may, I don't know if it was a hard decision for him.
It wouldn't have been a hard decision for you, Rubo.
Because I'm waiting for Biden to call me up to the Department of Education. I'm like, what is he waiting on?
Look,
But,
you off this show after that, as soon as Biden called, you like, deuces.
yeah, I'm like, I'm out. Bye. I mean, we could do this in DC or something. Was that Prince whatever county or whatever?
Yeah.
Prince George's County.
Yeah. But the thing is that I think at that time that was so paramount to what President Obama was trying to get. Like that was one of his most important agendas outside of healthcare to me. And a whole American Reinvestment was a Recovery and Reinvestment Act. With that piece there, I mean, there was so much good work being done that I think if anything, it gave us more exposure to, okay, he's bringing a guy who knows that what actually is there. This is not some guy who lives in, and forgive me, I don't know if there's a car plant in wherever else, but I mean, when you're here, you live and breathe the nostalgia of yesteryear, and you are also challenged with the hope of how do you make a better tomorrow. So I can't fault him for taking the job.
Okay.
And I think Rubo made a good point that it was term limits there. I think if he had not had term limits, then you could say, you know what, you could have remained mayor to finish your vision, but someone else would have had to step in for that vision as well. So I imagine it was a tough decision for him. I mean, you uproot your family and your community. Now he's living in Connecticut. He didn't come back to the area. So, I mean, but I mean, you talk about one ShopTalk, now somebody picks you up and now you're no longer, they say, we want to make you syndicated. We want to make you national. You're like, I can't believe she sold out because she went national. She's not that local ShopTalk, So you got to really put yourself in that seat. When that moment comes, you really do the best for you and your community.
I'm leaving.
It's
I'm leaving. We can do lunch, but I'm out.
All she gonna have on is a YSU hat.
Right. That's
They'll be like, what that Y stand for?
Yeah. So I mean, you got to put yourself in that situation. But then you talk about the first African American president, and when you put that on your resume, that I don't care what position you're in. Like Rubo said, he's waiting for Biden to call him for Board of Education. I mean, every athlete is always looking for for college. They're looking to see when can I go to the draft. If they
the ultimate goal. Okay.
The ultimate goal is to be. I say some will, but ultimately, if you're playing and you're picked up, you're like, well, I'm not going to stay my junior year. I'm out of here. Look at so that happens. I don't. But some will. I mean, you look at some really. That's what they do. They go from one position to another. I think you see that more at the state level, where they'll go from the state representative to state senator, then back to the state senator, because there's term limits out there. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a piece to that. There's a calculation to that. But you could tell the ones who are genuine. You could tell that the ones who, you know, every time you look around, they're ready to go to the next level, and they got a new conversation for you. I tell anyone right now, you know, I love what I do. I love the job I have. I probably would have never left, you know, if for city council to go president of council, but I wanted to protect the seat of president of council, making sure no one else got in there that didn't look like they were ready to do anything. And my colleagues voted me. They said, listen, you're the best for us right now to go to be president of council. I love being a city council person, but if that right there is what I bring to being a mayor, I love that hands-on. I got one issue right now. Miss Johnson is dealing with her neighbors. I'm taking my crew out there. We do knock and talks when I was on council. I knock on your door, and I got the police with me, and we're gonna talk about what you're doing, and you need to be better neighbor, a better community person, or we'll be back. Well, they'll be back. I won't be back. When they come back, this won't be as nice of a conversation. So you have to look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. And that's what we got to really find out, those who are genuine. You can figure out who's genuine and who's not.
Okay. I agree. And I wanted to put that out there. I do have some questions that the peepists.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Real
I
quick.
have to speak to the softball girls team at 11, so I got to get there.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
All right. How do you feel about bikers? Because word to the curb is that Tito is against the bikers.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I know how to ride a bike. Only reason
Motorcycle bikers.
No, motorcycle.
Okay. Mhm.
Oh, I can four up, one down. You tell me how to go. I can do that. So that's a misnomer. Many of my friends are bikers. Not sure. Reason I don't have a bike is because of my wife. When I got married 16 years ago, I says, I'd like to have a boat or a motorcycle. She said, you look good on that boat. So that's the only reason I don't have a motorcycle. So that's not true. I've been down to the doghouse several times. I know many of my friends are many members of clubs. So that's not the case.
Okay. Go ahead. Did you want to say something else? I don't want to cut you off.
I remember the after hours spot up on was it Princeton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah. See, yeah. No, that's not
okay.
true.
So that's a misconception.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You have those who said, I believe that I'm reading this verbatim. Okay. Now, if the English is broken, don't worry about it. I believe that he's for the older and not the younger. Look at Rugo. Listen,
it's such.
But all right, listen. I'm just putting it out there. Come on, we only got him for 5 more minutes.
I'm just laughing. I will
we'll elaborate after. Go ahead.
So being a father of 4, I don't know how they can say that about me. You know, whenever I govern, I work on things. Just right now, they talk about the younger. Well, I'm 49. I'm not 39. I'm not 29. But I have a son who's 31, and I have a son 11, and I have daughters who are 15. So when I govern, I talk to them about my decisions. But one of the things that we've done, and I think this is what they might be looking for, I'm looking at our youth, our young men and women. 2 things that I'll point out. We are part of the Obama Foundation, where we have my brother's keepers. We're part of that. We had the summit, I believe it was in 2019, where we brought all our young men and women from the Youngstown City Schools down to the Cavelli Center to really start building character with them. And the second piece is where I have the Mayor's Educational Attainment 2025 Coalition. And that's really getting our young people engaged in pathways. Probably many of you, when you graduated from high school, there was only a couple options for you. There was college or military. Mm-hmm. And now we're trying to get engaged in the young people early on with the trades, with post-secondary education, because by 2025, you're going to have some post-secondary education or certification. And we really want to work on that. And we got dollars from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to do so. So if that's what they're talking about, I don't know. But my focus, being a kid who grew up in a youth center and at the Y, I know too well how often these things are important to our young men and women. But I think they look at the mayor and say, well, you're going to do it all by yourself. That is not how this happens. A good mayor will find those who are doing these different activities and make sure they partner with them. You know, we have so many people that I'm offering this program and that program. But if we collectively look at all those programs, you want to say, what's the impact? And maybe some of those individuals might be out there and says, well, the mayor wouldn't listen to my program. Well, if you're coming with you want money for your administration, but you don't want money for your program. I'm all about programming. I'll help you with your programming, not just with your administration. And if you're doing well with your programming, oh, then your administration will make sure your gas and your lights are taken care of. But it has to be affecting and impacting our children.
Impact. That's it all day long. Next question. You have the water. I'm trying to keep a straight face and be serious here. They talk about the water bill. Now, the people talk about the water bill. I said what I said about the water bill. So I'm just going to twist this. Are you you have two types of mayors. You have your city mayor and you have a county mayor, and we won't say the name. Are you a city or a county mayor?
Oh, I'm definitely city all day. In perspective about the water, you know, one of the things I talk about is before I became mayor, while I'm mayor, and then I talk about things in the future of mayor.
Go ahead, you got the floor.
From May until December 31st of 2017, once the previous administration knew that they were not going to be the mayor, they went through the water funds like Grant ran through Richmond. They spent the funds up, and no one said anything about that. People forgot about that. And then they spend it on private investors. They spend it on various issues. You guys, just this week, we fixed that water issue. When I came in January, there was a state auditor sitting in my face talking about, hey, you spent this much money and it's not allowable. And I'm like, I didn't do it. That was before I got here. They said, well, you're the mayor now. You need to deal with it. So just this week, council approved us replenishing those water funds because we had a surplus of monies. So we put those monies back. So now that surplus is going to grow. The reason we had to ask for more money is because they spent it all. And you have federal regulations that says we have to fix our wastewater treatment plant. So we had money until the previous administration spent it. So when I got there was an auditor there that said, hey, you owe this money back. We just fixed it. And one of the things, if you guys saw me when I took my oath of office, I said, it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility. So for the last 3 years, we've been working with the state auditor, with our outside auditor. I was facing a $2.2 million deficit when I came in 2018. In 2019, I had a 1.4 deficit because of previous spending habits from the former administration. And the last 4 budget cycles, we've ended in the black and we've ended in a surplus. So I inherited some bad stuff. I'll be politically correct. That should have never happened. It should have never been in that fashion. So those are some of the things when you talk about that water, the wastewater, those dollars were spent, but now we're replenishing those funds. And they're right. I get, my mother talks to me about her water bills. So when
I love her.
You're not telling me something I don't hear. She, it's 2 of them and it's 5 of us, and she tells me about my water. But the water rates are really predicated on how much money that we have to pull out of there. The federal government's not giving us any money, but the previous administration, they decided I lost, so let me go ahead and spend up, and no one stopped them. No one stopped them. They say, hey, what are you guys doing? So let me stop. I see Rugo going.
I just want to add to that and say, during that time period when you were not in office, right after the election in 2017, City Council, they had passed the increase on to the citizens.
Mm-hmm.
So with this being rectified, is that plan, are those percentages going to be dropped? Because I think they were trying to raise it like 8% every year for 4 years or something of that nature.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember that I said I would not do it. So we're looking at what's that going to look like. We believe here, and this is my editorial, so don't hold me to it. I know somebody will try. We're hoping that we won't have any water rates over the next 4 years with putting this money back there. So that's my goal. When you put a goal out there, you may not always achieve that, but I'm very cautiously to say that. But that's where I'm thinking that for the next 4 years, we won't have to raise water rates in the city of Youngstown.
Okay, let me get these last two, then I'm done. There was monies that was allotted. What's your plan? Millions of dollars. What's your plans with that money, that funding?
$88.6 million.
Yes.
We want to put a comprehensive plan together. And when I say that, that's not just kind of that pie in the sky. We've actually come up with a matrix that has a scoring card. So when everybody and their mother has a reason, oh, you can spend it on this, you should spend it on that. But we have a scoring card where each project or each individual it's going to be broken down into like 4 divisions of where you can spend the dollars. So if it's infrastructure, we're going to score the projects, or if it's outside community activities, we're going to score your project. So everybody just comes with a project. You've got, and the one word that I've said, this is going to be the top of my scoring card, and it's going to be an impact. So we're going to be impacting the community, but with these legacy dollars. But you're going to have to, your project's going to have to score. But the comprehensive plan is going to include everyone. It's not just going to include the mayor, city council, but it's going to include the school board, our community partners, both public and private. But I'm not the only one that has money. The county has money, other cities have monies. So when we start looking at the regional issues, we need to make sure those who have regional dollars, we have regional shared values, that they can come to the table and say, collectively, we can come together. If we all put in a million apiece, now we can get the 5 instead of asking the city for all 5. Okay,
so you kind of have an idea of what you want to do, or you don't know yet, and you.
Well, so here's the one thing that's hindering me. Why I'm really cautious about saying the direct, like giving you specifics, because between the Treasury has not given us the guidelines. So I could tell you that today, and May 10th is when we first get our first allotment of dollars. So May 10th, if the Treasury comes out with something and I said, well, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, maybe none of those are on the Treasury's guidelines, but we want to make way for the Treasury guidelines. I say we have till 2024 to spend it. People say, well, we need help right now. We will have help right now. We will have help in 2021, but we don't have to say pile up a top 10 list right now and we're going to spend it all. I can tell you right now, infrastructure, water lines. We want to replace old water lines because they have lead pipes. Lead is linked to infant mortality, but also we want to fix our roads. So when we're fixing our roads, we're fixing our water lines, but we also helping to impact the families for infant mortality, which we have a higher infant mortality rate around this community. The other piece is I like to make sure that we have some type of lead program. No matter what your income is, for lead, you can have lead remediation in your home, because we know lead is again, associated with infant mortality. So before, you used to have a certain income to get lead removed from your home. I want to make sure let's take that off the table, and let's remove the lead from those homes. That way our babies are not eating the paint chips and we're not getting sick, and we can make a healthier community. So that's just a small, minute couple of things that I believe infrastructure is on there. That's one of the 4 divisions that's there. So these are just a couple of things that I know that will make an impact. So that scoring card it'll give me infrastructure, it'll give me removing lead, but also to improve the overall health of the community if my project would go forward.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Listen, the listening audience, they love Mayor Jamel Tito Brown. You saw that at the event that we were at. They're like, that's my mayor. They asked, hey, can you get the mayor on? Because I want to know what's coming up for the future. And most of them, they like, he got my vote anyway. Yeah, you know what I mean? But it's important to get out there and vote. So I know you got to go, but can you just give us real quick before you log off what your plan is for this next term?
The next term, the first thing we need to do is we need to get out of this global pandemic. We just can't survive through this pandemic. We're going to have to thrive. And one of the things that we need to make sure is the minority community is actually Though they're the most vulnerable. Just this last Thursday, we had the governor in town, and we launched the Mahoney Community Vaccination Action Group, where individuals who want to get a vaccination, it's a one-stop shop. You call a number, you can get an appointment set up, and they'll give you a ride there. The rides are free. So if I could give my plug now, Shmel, I like to put the number out there for individuals who want to set up an appointment for their mom or for themselves or the grandma. We'll pick them up and take them to get their vaccination and then take them back home, kind of a Uber. And the number is 330-207-3461. And that's one of the first things that we've got to work on and to make sure we continue to do as we move forward in the community.
Okay.
I just want to recognize Mayor Brown, because when the pandemic hit, I'm on the advisory council or the advisory committee for the Youngstown Minority Health Office. So one of the things he reached out to us when the governor wanted insight from our city, he gathered people that were involved in that piece and got our point of view on what we felt needed to happen in order for Youngstown to be able to survive the pandemic, you know. And what I'll say is that from two perspectives, for me being involved with that, for me being involved with the school board, he has been there to help with those issues. He understands what is at stake, you know, with a lot of issues. I mean, especially with those two issues, which are like really hot topic issues in Youngstown. But he understood that. He understood that the need for democracy. He understood the need for transparency and accountability. And all I can say is that I've been very pleased with his ability to engage the citizens and get our feedback and put it into action. That's the most important thing. Like I with his COVID response, I saw a lot of good things being put into action. And this even sounds like, you know, the icing on the cake, or you know, more to the foundation in which he did to really support our community through that it's still a very tough time.
Yeah.
So he should be recognized for that. And not one more thing though, too.
Yeah, you gotta hurry up because he gotta go.
Yeah, I know the money issue. You know, I feel confident in that $88.6 million being within his within under his locus of control. I mean, because what we see is that prior to him being involved, there's a candidate who was on city council who let that money be spent, who did nothing to stop that those water treatment dollars, you know, being used, or the water monies being used in different ways and that kind of thing. And so we haven't had the accountability that we needed in some years. So I mean, that's one thing we need to be fighting for during this election, is focusing on a candidate who's going to bring us transparency and accountability.
Okay. Meetings with the mayor. How do people go about that? Do you still have that going? Because I remember I signed up where I was able to get a meeting with you real quick.
Oh, that's the difference between me and let's say they talk about 5 minutes with the mayor. The cell phone number I have is the only one I've ever used. So if anybody wants a meeting with me, I don't give you 5 minutes. I want to hear you out. So you set up a sit down. I sit down with everyone. I have a good conversation. And one thing I always ask, tell me what your project is or what you're looking to do. And then I want to make sure that those who can help are in the room. And so that you don't just meet with me and then I got to go back and say, hey, you need to come meet with this person. So I try to make sure the team is ready and there as well. During COVID-19, we really wanted to do Tuesday Talks with Tito, and we just couldn't do so. So hopefully as we get past this pandemic, we'll have Tuesday Talk with Tito's. It won't be Tito's. It'll be Tito.
You already know where I was going. I'm like, look,
Hey,
I was
Mel, No, it'll be Tuesday Talk with Tito, not Tito's.
Okay.
But we like to, one of our goals
Hey,
is to
Rugo, where was going?
Turned up with the mayor, yo.
As long as you got an Uber ride, I'm good. I won't be responsible for it. But we want to go out to local business owners, you know, and sit down at their local places. You know, two things will happen. You can dine, you can eat, but you can also have conversations with me. Just real quick, I gotta go. I had the governor in town, and when the governor came the first time, just when he and I first met, and prior to pandemic, he wanted to go to lunch. So I took him to Charlie's, and him and Charlie got to be, know one another. He decided he wants to take a slab of ribs home to his wife. So the last time, just prior to this visit, he told his wife, the mayor has a great spot to go to. After COVID, we're going to go. So when he came this past Thursday, I had Charlie bring him 2 slabs of ribs to take home with him. So we like to always promote our local business owners. So that's how I believe we can connect the mayor coming in and have a sit down, whether it's coffee or lunch or dinner, and you can have conversations with me.
All right, what's that phone number again if they need a ride to get the vaccine?
330-207-3461.
All right, thank you, Mayor Tito Brown.
Hey, listen, thank you guys so much. I got to go inspire some young ladies and let them know the glass, there is no ceiling. It's been broken and they can continue to fly. So look forward to talking with you guys, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on and responding in such short notice. Appreciate that.
You guys have a good one.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Health and safety is it all day long.
Yeah.
That's what is it? Hierarchy, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That has to be met before you can go to the next step.
Yeah.
Amber, I want to hear from you. Anything you want to say on that segment or with the mayor?
Very informative. I am not a longtime Youngstown resident. I'm new to the city. So I'm still learning about the history, and I hear things about the political dynamics here and the history here in Youngstown. But one of the reasons why I decided to move to this city was because it does seem like things are on the up and up and things are steadily improving. But it was very informative.
Great. All right, Rugal, now you can go ahead. What you got to say?
I mean, it's so much. I understand what the mayor was talking about. I mean, the one thing that stuck out to me was that glass ceiling thing. I understand what he's talking about is being shattered, and the thing is that we're not there where we need to be. We got to look out for those shards of glass that's falling down. Because
I got a hat. My eyes is good. Look, my eyes.
You got to maneuver through those shards of glass, But I think that's really admirable what he's doing to go and encourage and show those young ladies that they are indeed valued and they have mass potential, So yeah,
I appreciate him coming on because it was short notice and it was like, hey, listen, this is the people want to know, and when you guys reach out to me, listen, I got you. Your girl got you. Boom, boom. Here you go. He was like, sure, Mel, I'll come on because people are wondering, the citizens of Youngstown wondering, like, what are you going to do for me? And I understand, but I don't want to give my view. I'm like, let's hear from the horse. You know what I mean? Let me reach out and let's ask. We kind of know we know how things run. Rugal really know he deal with the politics, but you don't see, even like in presidency, any type of political arena, you vote them in, it's not going to change tomorrow. They're like, oh, you said you were going to do this and that. Well, you want to get these people a week and you think everything's supposed, like, hold on a minute. They have to clean up the mess. It's like night shift. I'm a night shifter, so I can relate. You clean up the mess from today and you get prepared for tomorrow. The only thing is their night shift is a lot longer. It takes some time. And I'm glad that he explained what happened with the monies. Okay, you decide, okay, you're not in, so you're just going to go and just mess it up for the next person coming in. That's not okay. That's something that's something that can be addressed. That's something that the council can pass legislation on and say, hey, if you're once you've lost an election or whatever, or there's a transition in leadership, there's going to be some parameters and limitations put in place to ensure that sort of thing doesn't happen. So I understand where you're coming from, but it's like, okay, what are you going to do to make sure it doesn't happen in the future? You're right. You want to, Rugal, you want to say?
No, that wasn't me. I don't know what that was. It was some noise.
Oh, somebody.
Was that on your side, Ms. Dixon?
It might have been my chair. Okay. My chair rolling around.
Oh,
Oh,
that's what we saying. It's a chair now, right? Okay.
It sounds like music, didn't it?
Wait, look.
No, I don't know what that is, but I promise you it wasn't me.
I don't know.
I was rolling my chair around.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So back to that PPP loan with this young lady. Look, we're not gonna do her like the Gorilla Glue girl that got famous behind it. But I think that's a lot of nerve that, okay, you deliberately did something that you knew was wrong. And what's interesting, and not saying her because I don't know her situation, but you do have people I know that are getting government assistance. Girl, bye. They know what you get, and then you go and get a PPP loan. Who is this guy that caused you to do that? I'm blaming it on a man. It's a man.
Don't do that.
It's a man that makes women do crazy stuff.
Don't do that.
Is that what she claimed?
No, I just
the only man that was involved was Joe Biden. That was it. She did that all on her own.
Right?
Then she talking about save me because of my kids. It's like, well, you gotta make smart decisions, as a parent.
Right. And why would you do it? Go ahead, Nick.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Nick.
Working as a loan assistant dealing with PPP and the California relief grant right about now. She knew when they told her you still got to provide receipts just in case, 3 or 4, 5 years down the line, they come back on number one. Number two, you have an allotted amount of time to apply for that forgiveness. So obviously she must have just thought she was going to get the money and they wasn't going to check. They need a paper trail. You should have went ahead and apply for that forgiveness, because once you get the money, you can turn around and apply for the forgiveness immediately. She should have did that.
But I don't know. But it seemed like she fraudulently got the money anyway. I don't how would applying for loan forgiveness supersede her fraudulent claim to the money?
We don't, allegedly, because we don't know if it was fraudulent. Listen, I'm gonna tell you now, she more than likely does have a business, because if you're a 1099 and sole proprietor, you're able to, you have to listen. We want 6 month bank statements. We need your 1099s, your Schedule S, your 1120S, or your whatever tax return. So that money was not given to her fraudulently, but ain't nobody helping you pay that back, boo-boo.
Let me say this. Let me say this, Nick. I know somebody that know how to fill out that paperwork, okay? And it was fraudulent, and then you get upset because somebody stole the stolen money. Y'all remember that? When you remember me talking about that, I was like, how do you be upset that somebody stole the stolen money? Like you had like $1,000 stolen and you're upset and you want to call and tell. Well, you stole it.
I don't know who that person.
I ain't gonna tell you who it is. I know who it is.
Oh, okay,
but they know people know how to finagle some things.
The people I work for, they own it. Because listen, I see more denials come through my desk than I see approvals.
Well, see but we talking about Shell and them that's at the house doing it. Go ahead, Rubo. Shell or Katie.
I was gonna say, I think the issue comes about where, like, if I knew that I got that loan and I was using that loan in good faith to grow my business, then what do I have to fear from that? You know what I mean? Because I have the receipts. I can show you the interactions that I had to grow my business. But if you getting a loan and then the next thing you doing is buying a Ferrari and you or whatever the car is, and you ain't in the transportation business, it could be a problem with that. I mean, even if she was eligible for the loan by the letter of, okay, I'm an LLC, I have these statements and stuff like that. If she's using it for the intent, or she's using it for a whole nother intent, how can it be justified?
No, it can't be justified. But the thing is,
I think it's the intent. I think it's the intent. And for her doing a GoFundMe, she already knows she about to sink.
Right.
That's where I'm at. All right, let's move on to the
She should
next topic
apply
because we're running out of time. I was talking about how certain people use certain offices as a stepping stone. So let's talk about Caitlyn Jenner running for California governor. Do you think he genuinely? Do you think she genuinely? Yeah, genuinely wants to run, or is it, another stunt? And then they're saying that she will be the first transgender to be a California governor, but she didn't get all her parts taken.
If he don't go sit down,
Allegedly.
I wouldn't argue the degree.
No, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would argue the degree of what makes somebody transgender. You know what I mean? I don't. I think that's to stay clear of that.
Parts? Okay.
Yeah, I would just stay clear of that whole thing. I would just say, I mean, one, Caitlyn Jenner is running as a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were comparing her run similar to Arnold Schwarzenegger, because for some reason in California, they always are having like recall elections, for their governors. I'm like, it's so weird to me. It just seems like a political strategy, but because they never can actually tie the person to some kind of scandal or something like that. It's usually just, well, we don't like the direction in which it's going, so someone starts a campaign. They have a weird, I mean, I ain't gonna say it's weird, because I guess you have a recall anywhere, but is this odd that often happens there? It's been 2 in the last 20 years, so that's kind of significant, I would believe. Because
what is his name, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, wasn't he running, saying he was going to run for president? I think.
I don't think The Rock is making a run for president. I don't think, I've never heard that, or I never heard of him being involved politically. No.
Me either, and that's my point.
I don't think.
So what are the qualifications these days? I mean,
well, you gotta be 35 and a natural born citizen. That's it.
And that's it.
That's it. We make the criteria based on what we think is more valued from our perspective, or our, whatever. But I mean, there's no, you just gotta be just 30 over 35 and naturally born,
And see, you are absolutely right, because I would think in my mind as a child that to be the president, you had to be like the smartest person, and you know what I mean.
Well, you would hope.
Right. That was my thought.
Or they shot that out the water.
And that's where I was going. Or just in office period, you have a certain image that you think that people, you think people should portray, like a school teacher. I don't see a school teacher with leggings. So that's like out of the norm for me. You know what I mean? I'm looking to see, in my mind, a school teacher button-up shirt, or like a bow, a skirt,
black
pantyhose, glasses. We have that image of what people are to look like and be. And I have a problem seeing a school teacher texting during class. That's like odd to me. That's odd to me. So you're right. We put those stipulations on people, and we need to stop, but they don't need to be wearing leggings though, for real. I'm like, especially when you're dealing with high schoolers, leggings, high schoolers, those boys, like it's not okay.
It's about professionalism, but yeah, I agree.
Yes, professionalism. And Rumrugal said all you gotta be is 35 and a U.S. citizen.
Natural born.
A natural born U.S. Oh, that's why 45 was upset about President Obama.
Well, that's what he was.
Your birth certificate.
That was his argument, right? And I feel like it's good and it's bad, because then who we elect as our leaders reflects the general population.
Okay, and it does.
So,
I'm not like that.
Right. If people are, and I mean, we can get into the whole education system, being designed to dumb down the general masses and not promote thinkers, but I mean, it's like it's a good and bad thing that anybody can be president, basically.
Okay, let's go.
All right, Nick the voice for 2024, y'all.
Oh, okay, go ahead, go for it, girl. Let's talk about this incident that has been on the airways forever. The Makhia Bryant, Columbus, Ohio, shooting at the hand of the police officer. Nick, 2 minutes, Nick, because I already know you be going on and on and on, and then we're going to go around.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on that?
Is my thoughts. She called the police because some girls coming to harass her, or whatever the story is. I heard they was there, then I heard they
Yes, come on.
Okay, my thing is, I don't care what nobody say. I said what I said. The police was wrong. Regardless, there were ways to stop her from going at the lunging at that girl after they got there. Because we have too many, Kyle Rittenhouse, that Dylan, whatever his name is, too many white people done charged that police with cars, weapons, and everything, and they still got their life. Why is it that black people always gotta die, whether they was right or wrong?
Okay, can I?
That won't stop her.
Can I? I want to ask you this. Well, actually, I don't even want to ask you. You said charging at police. This young lady was not charged. Wait, whoa. She didn't charge at the police.
I know.
She was charging at somebody else. So I just want to get that clear. Okay, hold on, hold your thought. Go ahead, Rugal. What's your thoughts on this?
You know what? I don't even want to talk about the police aspect of it, because it just seemed like there was so much stuff going on that maybe there should have been someone who stepped in to de-escalate it before it even got to that point. The other issue that bothers me about it is Ohio just passed the stay in your ground legislation or what have you, right? So with that being
season. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, but the point I'm saying is, because how I understood the story, she was at home. She called the police. I'm just like, okay, if you did all those steps, why not just stay in the house, right? That's what I want to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's her property. That's where she resides. If this is one of the bad things that can go wrong with encouraging people to stand their ground in this instance, I mean, because that police no one came there to try to figure out who was the resident or whatever. I mean, everything happened so quickly, and it's just, the thing is that should he just had his taser out, and then the thing is like, why was lethal force the first method with the first thing? If you got a taser and like, I don't know how it was described or what was going on, that they were like, well, how old are you? What's going on? Like, if he knew anything about the demographics of, of who was involved or whatever. But it just seems like, all it is a domestic dispute at the heart of it, right? Whatever reason they had.
With a weapon.
With a weapon.
With a weapon.
With the weapon, but the thing I go back to is that why not just pull out the taser to begin with? Why are you reaching for the gun? Why not pull out the taser? But I mean, with that said, I think that one of the things that hurts me the most about it is that, like I said, prior to the police even being involved, there seemed to be a lot of people there that were just kind of like letting it happen. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's a tough call. Maybe it couldn't have been broke up or whatever like that. But, it's a sad thing. I don't want to keep going over and over.
All right, Amber, what's your thoughts?
Okay, quick 2 minutes. Okay, so first of all, I agree with everyone else that it could, the police officer was wrong and it was an excessive use of force. He could have tased her. We have seen other incidences where other aggressors were detained and still have their life. I think what most concerning to me is, like someone else has said, what is going on prior to the arrival of the police. What I've heard so far is there's a lot of mess going on in that foster home. The foster mother was an instigator of the situation. The foster father, who was in the video, also problematic. It seems that her biological parents failed her, and then her foster parents failed her. It concerns me that there is a masculinization of Black women and Black girls within our community, and I think that's extremely problematic. And then also an inability for the Black community to police, or a hesitancy to police our own communities. You know, there is a very well documented, well-known history of problems with the police, biases against the police, but who are we supposed to call if we can't police ourselves, or can't police each other, or not open to correction and criticism from our own people?
Did you want to add to that, Rugal?
I mean, she really touches on a lot of that, you know. I mean, because I mean, it's one thing. I mean, we talk about police brutality, which is, I mean, a clear and present danger to us just on our everyday regular walk, minding our own business, right? I mean, it's not hyperbole. I mean, we've seen it, you know. But the thing I think that it's such a strong message that it's like, we got to figure out a way to just, in these situations, how do we solve problems between ourselves before it reaches a point of even going to, you know, having to have somebody intervene, as she mentioned earlier. You know, I think that's something that just resonates with me, is that we see a lot of violence that happens that's Black on Black too, you know what I mean? And that's no excuse for the police to act in a way that they feel is, you know, in a way that would be excessive. But we really got to stop perpetuating issues that would involve them coming to have to intervene, you know. And I know it sounds crazy when I say that, you know, but all I'm saying is that, couldn't one person come in there and say, get your ass in the house?
Well,
you know what
and
I'm
I
saying?
think that, and that's what I'm talking about. The adults failed that girl. The adults are really why she's dead, because that girl was not socialized to stand back, to go in the house, to say, I'm not going to engage with you. I'm too pretty and too delicate to sit here and brawl in a front yard, you know. And then allegedly, the foster mother called those girls to the home to beat that girl up. And someone who's aspiring to be a foster mother, a lot of people get into fostering with the wrong intentions, and and because these are children in the system, of course they're coming with baggage and issues and challenges. And so and that gets into a whole nother issue of Black parenting and the shortcomings and the problems with Black parenting, which is the root of these cycles of problematic behavior and you know, being poorly socialized, and not being able to de-escalate or remove yourself from, you know, these problematic situations, or, you know, not even getting into them. So I think just on the the police brutality and the excessive use of force is at the tail end of the issue. I think the root issue is what was going on in the home, the parents, the adults that were involved in the situation, who, like you said, did not intervene, did not attempt to de-escalate. The one Black man in the situation was brawling with them too, kicking a girl, you know, there's, okay, yes, police brutality, yes, excessive force, yes, that was another example of all the other hundreds of examples of discrimination against the police. But what's going on with the people involved? What's going on with the adults? You know, who could have, the police wouldn't even had to been called.
Okay, go ahead, Nick. You wanted to say
My
something.
question is, okay, we talk about the girls, she shouldn't have went outside, talk about the parents, the foster mother allegedly calling the girls come over there. What about them girls' parents? Where were they? Why didn't they make them stay home?
And not only that, they're not girls. Apparently,
They're
those
adults.
boys, they were grown women. The girl that died was 16, and the ladies that came to beat her up, well over like in their 20s, late 20s.
Okay, but then they ain't had what's going over there. They don't. My
It's
parents
a hot
always taught
mess.
me not to go to somebody else's house to pick a fight, because
Yes.
if something happens to you, then it's on you. So them grown, I'll give it a cuss. Them grown women had no business going over there. I don't care if the foster mother did call. They should have been like, that's your foster child. You deal with it. Get a belt, beat her behind, whatever you got to do. Call the police and lock her up if she's not doing right. There's been so many stories we don't know, but number one, should no grown woman be coming over there to fight no child? Number one. So she was being defensive. She was in her home where she's being raised, in her yard. So she had every right to defend herself, regardless of what went on. Them grown women ain't had no business going over there touching that child. So they was wrong. The parents should be locked up. Them grown women should be locked up as well.
Yeah.
Period.
And I think that in fostering, if that the whole response to like physical corporal punishment and physically disciplining your child, that's not her child. That's a foster child. And I'm sure she was defiant and unruly and disrespectful and difficult. You don't go call somebody else to come beat the child up. You need to call the agency. Hey, listen, this is now she's got to go. Like what? Exactly. It was unproductive. So it's like we have, as a community, we have this leniency towards becoming violent and actually making choices and decisions and taking action that's unproductive and actually just escalates the situation and make it worse instead of de-escalating the situation. So I feel like pretty much everybody involved was at fault. And it's just a sad situation all around, just ghetto and ridiculous.
Very ghetto, and they all should be locked up.
Here's my thoughts off of the video that I saw. And I looked and kind of just went through each screen of the video that I saw. The video that I saw, first off, you have so many videos out there. So, and I'm with Rugal. Out of all of those people that was recording this fight, nobody wanted to stop it. Now, my first thing is, if you had the time, to call the police, and you say these girls are here to jump me, okay, why didn't you stay in a safe place and wait for the police to arrive? Here's the second one. I saw one video and you can hear the sirens. They were out there fighting and you hear the sirens. No one stopped. So in the background, usually you're like, okay, the police is coming, let's go. I ain't trying to go to jail. Boom. Right. So nobody stopped. That was another thing. Then when the officer is coming up, he says, what's going on here? I was so focused on the girl with the pink, not the fight over here with the Makhia. Okay, she was fighting somebody else. He said, what's going on here? The girl with the pink was coming toward the officer. And this is just speculation. I'm sure she wasn't coming to hit the officer. I just looked and was like, okay, she's probably telling him what's going on. That young girl was fighting somebody else, knocked them down, and then ran toward the girl with the pink. So she was off guard. And the way that she was holding, not that I'm a specialist, but let's keep it 100 as a blade carrier. The way she was holding that knife, oh, she has done that before. The way that she was holding that knife, because it's the way that you have to hold. I'm not a cooker, I'm not a butcher, I'm not any of that. But the way that she was holding that knife, and I'm not in defense of anyone, I just think that the officer, either way, he would have been wrong. Because had he not made that, it was like 9 seconds from the neighbor's camera on their garage. They had one of those reels, so they were able to catch it as well. She had that girl there. The way that she was holding that, I don't know how it would have went. We don't know how it would have went. But to my understanding, the police officers is to protect and serve. That girl was defenseless. She didn't have a knife. That one girl had the weapon. Makhia had the weapon. if that was my daughter or me, you know, yes, I shouldn't have went over to the house the whole night, got that. But how many people say, oh, it's going to be a fight? Oh, okay, well, I'm going to go watch. All those people that had the cameras. That's why you got so many different angles, okay? I'm going to go watch this fight. But the way she had that knife, either that girl could have died, she could have killed her, and she would have been in jail anyway, so her life would have been over. Not saying that she deserves to have her life over, but who do you protect when that girl was in imminent danger? She didn't have a weapon. The girl had a weapon. So, and if the police didn't shoot her or he tased her, she probably, I'm going to say, would have still got stabbed, because he said, what's going on? Get down, get down. She was not adhering to anything he was saying. So a taser, by the time it goes, you still got time to still do what you're going to do. And I saw the father, that was alleged, I'm using air quotes for listening audience. The father kicked the girl, the first girl she was fighting, and she got down. He kicked her. So yes, her parents failed her. Her parents failed her as a parent. And who failed their parents? So it could be like an ongoing thing, you know. It's like, okay, when are we going to stop? But when no one is afraid of the police anymore, with the sirens going off to stop and de-escalate the situation, do I think that he tried to de-escalate it? I think so. And then she running around from one person to the next person, she wasn't stopping. So either way, I think that outcome, the people are going to look and say, okay, he was wrong. But if that was my child in the pink, thank you, officer. Thank you, officer.
Well,
Wait a minute, 1 second. If Makhia was my child and she had that knife, guess what? Funeral arrangements, because two things are going to happen when you carry a blade. You got to know. She knew she was going out there for war. Oh, hence my outfit. Look, she knew that when you went outside, you went into danger zone. Okay. If you have a blade, one or two things going to happen. Either you're going to get killed or you're going to kill somebody. Because depending on the situation, you can have it on you. Just know that there's a possibility of those two things happening. Because if danger comes, you got a weapon. What are you going to do? You're going to automatically use it. Okay, go ahead, Amber.
I was just going to say that the victim, Makhia, so from what I saw in the video, it seemed like she was in emotional distress, mental distress. And when you're in fight or flight, you are not going to be responsive. And that's something police officers know. Most people who've ever been in any kind of situation understand that. You know,
right.
Exactly. Like if you're in that mode and you're just going, you're just gonna go. Yes, she should have stopped when she heard the sirens. Yes, they should have stopped when he said get down. You know, all the things should have happened. And for me, I'm just looking at from the like psychological perspective. You're dealing with a child who has gone through God knows what to end up in foster care. And then she was probably raised, and looking at the adults involved in the situation, to respond violence with violence, you know, and was raised to defend herself and to stand her ground and to not let nobody disrespect you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, instead of doing things that are actually in your best interest, which would have been calling the police and staying in the house. But, you know, there's this culture of, you know, women, which doesn't even make sense, but, you know, you're supposed to stand up for yourself and don't let nobody disrespect you. And, you know, if you were to stay in the house and call the police, you're a coward and you're a punk when you're a girl, you know? And so I think it's the mindset and the energy. But as far as the particular situation, you know, I'm not at all surprised based on her history and the current situation that she did not, you know, comply with the police commands. And then on top of that, you know, she was probably raised not to respect the police.
Okay.
Or authority in general.
You know,
because she was being difficult in the foster mother's home.
The one thing about the police is his response that was unclear to me is he's saying get down, get down. When I'm looking at him saying stay down or whatever he was saying, it almost felt like it was about the person who was on the ground already, who got kicked in the head or about to get kicked in the head or whatever. You know, I just kind of feel, I mean, granted, it's a lot of things going on. It's a short period of time, but I just kind of feel like it should have been like, stop, you know what I mean? Freeze, you know, drop the weapon, you know, like something like it is. I don't know where that energy was going towards. I thought, to me, it seemed like the person who was like the lady who would whatever was on the ground first, like he was just saying like, you're interfering with what I'm about to do. Like, stay down. You know what I mean? You know, it was just incoherent to where he was actually who he was telling who to do what. You know,
look, she stayed down too.
Well, and I also wanted to point out that you know, Black people, the Black community, we definitely have issues with mental health, and the police are more likely to respond with violence and aggression when a Black person is having a mental health crisis than a non-Black person. There is less compassion, understanding, patience exercise towards Black aggressors, perpetrators, whatever label you want to call them, than to non-Black ones. So I'm not saying that, you know, she behaved correctly or she wasn't wrong, but when someone's having a bad day, it's not surprising that, you know, they're not in their best form.
Right, because remember that incident that happened? And Nick, I think you remember this, where it was that autistic boy that got killed by the police. You remember that?
Yeah.
In California, the police just assaulted as well, just a day or two ago. So that's my thing. White people get Burger King and thank you and everything else, even though they're the aggressors. Black people get 6 feet under. When is that going to stop?
Well, I
honestly don't think it will. And I think that's why we need to focus on policing our own communities. Like, we're complaining about our oppressors oppressing us, you know, right? And it's something that's been going on since the beginning of this nation. And I honestly don't see it as something that's going to change.
And you know what? I would just want to say this, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't think that he's going to be held accountable for this.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, when I look at the George Floyd situation versus this one, I mean, there's so much argument for gray, you know.
Well, and he can always, you know, like what Amber Geiger did, apply for an appeal. So even the conviction don't really mean anything. Then, you know, it's like what, 2 years or, you know, 1.5 years for probation. Just because he got convicted, that's not.
That's what I said. The sentencing is it.
It's not going to be something.
The sentencing is it, because they're like, okay, guilty. I want to see. I'm not done until I see what the sentence is. And I understand that everybody's entitled to a jury of their peers, but I'm like, do we even need to go through all of this? So I'm glad they didn't take a long time to deliberate on the George Floyd case, because we knew, like, come on, we see this. We actually see what's happening. Just as this case with Makhia Bryant, we see it, and you have so many different videos, and they released the body cam. Do you think it's a good thing to release the body cam immediately?
Well, in this case, they did it because they felt like he did what he needed to do. I mean, let's put it out there. Whenever there's an issue, when it's like, hey, you shouldn't have did that, it's always some red tape about getting that body cam. In this case, they were like, oh, this seemed pretty justified. Let's put it out there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that's because they have a propensity to want to protect their own, even especially Black police officers. If you look into it, who have tried to like report other officers and stuff, you know, they disappear, they get shut down, things happen to them,
fired,
they get fired. Exactly. You know, there was I think he was biracial, but a police officer who ended up killing himself. And I felt that was like recently, within the last year, and he was calling out the things he was noticing in his police department. So the whole idea of protecting and serving is questionable at best.
Do you guys remember when we had Sergeant Moss on, and he was in Atlanta? And matter of fact, he was from Columbus. He was a sergeant in Columbus, and he was talking about policing the police inside and the issues that they have. So, and I believe, Nick, that was you that said, well, why are they hiring these people? And it's like their family members or whoever they're letting in. Okay, be a police officer, I'll hire you, and just letting the bad police in. But when the good police, and I'm using air quotes for a listening audience, when the good police tell on the bad police, there's repercussions for the good.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do you have any solution, Rugo? Before we get to your segment?
Well, I would say, I think part of it has to go back to true community policing and, you know, really hiring police officers that live within those communities. You know, I mean, I think that's the crux of the issue, is that we have to get more people actually involved in it than just tell people. I mean, it's a good profession, you know, it can be a really good profession if done the right way, you know. So we got to start to encourage good people to take that very important job.
Well, and I think it's not so much just good people. I feel like you have to have the right person too. And I feel like within the Black community, not everyone is cut out to be a police officer. Some people just don't have the energy, don't have the mindset or whatever. And I guess my observation is, I feel like the people within the Black community that are more aggressive, you know, that they're not afraid to run into a confrontation. They're not afraid to step to someone who's bigger than them, or they're not intimidated by physical danger, things like that. Those people, those individuals with that personality type are actually usually hurting the community, not trying to build it up.
Yeah. So, you know, when I'm saying that comment, you know, I'm looking at like, and maybe good is too broad of a statement, but I guess what I'm saying is that it definitely, you know, not everyone is cut out for the job. You know, I mean, I'm telling you this as a person who actually applied to be a police officer, and I decided to work in Head Start instead. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like I wonder what my life would have been like had I did that versus the other job, you know. But the point of using myself as an example, I was community oriented. You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, that, you know, I was like, well, do I really want to work with this, or do I want to help these kids be able to make a great start into a middle-class institution that they're not prepared for?
Impact versus impact.
Yeah.
Impact versus impact. So it's like, where would I be more impactful at? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, would I, you know, I can help the community with these adults that may have already, you know, they're adults now, so they already been through everything. Or can I start with the youngsters and impact their lives with hopes that things can change? We know, because we interviewed the Shades of Blue, we got to get them back on too, with our police, you know, some of our police in the community. There's the pay. And what was it, $16, $17 an hour? It was like
something like that.
It was like really low.
Depending on your education, you get a little bit of a raise. And I'm just saying, at the time when I was going through the process, you know, I was in a situation to potentially be hired. But the other thing is that this job, it should almost be like air traffic controllers. Like, you can only do that job for so long, right?
Okay.
You know, I just think like, I don't know, because it just seems like it seems to me that it can be very traumatizing. And,
Right.
you know, maybe there should be some limits on how long you work that job. Not to say you just get booted out, but you're still entitled to your retirement and that sort of thing.
Yeah, retire out. I think that's a good idea. But I'm gonna be honest with you, $16, $17 an hour. If I couldn't be a police officer, because I'm gonna tell all of y'all right now, if y'all see me with a police officer uniform, don't wait for me, don't look for me. And you call the police. If I hear gun, if somebody put a 911, and I'm being transparent here, I'm a police officer. I'm making $16, $17 an hour. That's in my mind. My goal is to go home.
Amen.
And not get injured. And if you call me, all right, Nick, you call me on the phone, you're like, okay, well, it's gunfire and they're shooting on my street. Listen, I might be 2 streets over, but I'm sitting in my cruiser because I don't want to go. Well, I'm being honest. Y'all shooting loud when the gunfire calmed down, then Mel's car, my cruiser, like a Nick, like my cruiser is coming around now.
And that's understandable. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like police officers actually do that. That's why I said it takes a certain kind of person with a certain spirit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That would be me, and I would be the one with the complaint to be like, it took the police 20 minutes to get here.
Right. But the flip side of it is, because I have went and looked into being a police officer as well. The flip side of it is, if I was a police officer, I will be the one popping off. Like, you're not stabbing me, you're not shooting me. Like, you got a gun, I'm gonna tell you to get down, but to give you 2 times, and then it's gonna be pop. Like, because I'm trying to go home too. I'm like, why do we police officers put their own lives at a greater risk for someone else? Like, because the people that most police officers are going to have to deal with, you know what I'm saying? When someone has nothing to lose, that's when they're the most dangerous.
Absolutely.
And the police are the people in the position that we expect them to go deal with these people that have nothing to lose.
Go ahead, Google. I see you look puzzled.
No. I was just no.
You get ready for your segment.
Hey.
Hold on 1 second.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, let's see.
We got
what's happening in the world?
Oh man, like I always say every week, everything but nothing at all that really matters, right? Because it's Hollywood, it's all pretend, right? But I will want to start this off and say happy birthday to Cedric the Entertainer. He turns 57 today. And do you remember Derek Luke, Biker Boys?
Okay.
He's 47 today. And I'm
Wait, how old is Cedric the
Entertainer? 57.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought you said, yeah. No, me and Nick like, what? Like,
no, well, if I did say 47, but that's course correct. He's 57. Derek Luke is 47. And the man who I'm about to destroy his name, but the man Huso, if you remember him, he was Blood Diamond. He was in Amistad. Hansu. Okay, great. Thank you. He's also 57. And he was also in the Janet Jackson video, Love Will Never Do.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's the first time I ever seen him.
Yeah, yeah. So
he bad.
So the biggest thing that's happening in Hollywood right now is the release of Mortal Kombat, which was terrible, but it was better than the other ones, right? But it's like how but the thing I will say about the movie is that it really went into the layers of the trope of Mortal Kombat as far as like some of the sayings and all that kind of stuff, which like flawless victory, which kind of made it a little bit corny. If they'd have let that kind of stuff out and just kind of like kept it rolling, it would have been okay. But when you get that HBO Max and you can watch for free, yeah. Will it make its money? I think so. Just because it's going to appeal to a large market, and there are people who absolutely love those games, and so people will indeed check it out. There's been a little issue with the UK release of it. For some reason, I don't know what's going on, but it hasn't been released. It's supposed to be released, so it may be released there around May 17th or the 23rd of that month.
Okay.
So the biggest thing that what I've really been watching is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So the biggest thing that I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so should I go?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna fix
Falcon
it.
and the Winter Soldier, right? Anthony Mackie, man, he's done a great job in this. I think DC, not DC, but Disney and Marvel have done a great job to have this story be so impactful to what it means for African Americans to pick up a mantle that may not been designed to them and run with that, right? So when we were talking about this basic leadership in this country, it was basically designed to be white men, right? So regardless of what role you go into, there may be some scrutiny about that. And I think it's well handled how they have Anthony Mackie's role to become the new Captain America. It really focuses on a lot of things I think that are paramount to people who make decisions to solve problems, especially solving problems related to race, poverty, discrimination, and that sort of thing. I thought it was really good. I don't know if anyone else watched it. Usually Nick will vibe with me on these things, but the season finale was just the other day. It was really cool to see him not only don the wings and the shield, but the wings and the wings were made from the good folks in Wakanda. So that was pretty cool. I really liked how they tied in Wakanda into this story, and they're also going to be working on a standalone series for it as well in the near future. Pretty much we're still just kind of waiting to see what's going to be released in the theaters this summer. I mean, which, I don't know how I feel about going to the theater still, but, I will see when the time comes and what entices me to go. But that's pretty much it for me.
Okay.
From the things Oscars.
Yeah. What's happening with the Oscars?
Well, one thing I didn't really like that happened here was there was a movie called The Black Messiah, Judas and the Black Messiah, which is up for Best Picture, right? Okay. Now, a little bit of issue for me is they both Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, right? They're both nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And you may say, how does that work?
How does it
people
work?
In the same movie? One of them is clearly the lead. You know what I mean? How, what? Yeah. It's kind of, don't get me wrong. I would have loved one of them to be actually up for Best Actor and one Best Supporting, just so they would have both had an opportunity to win a much deserved Oscar. I don't know if you saw that movie or not, but it's something.
Does it have to do with how they're labeling the film, like the actual producers are? Is it listed as an ensemble cast, and maybe that's why they're both listed as supporting actors?
You know what? That I don't know. But I do not know that. But it just seemed, I don't know.
You guys.
That was my first one. It was presented like in the legal stuff as an ensemble, not as leads and supporting and stuff.
Well, you know what? I'm the only one making a fuss out of it, so maybe you know the technical end of it better than I do.
I have no idea.
You said something. Now you in this knee deep now. Okay, so I don't know, but I just kind of figured somebody should make
so you said Mortal Kombat was trash.
I heard the contrary. Everybody said it was good.
My son asked me this. He said, "Well, what King Kong or Mortal Kombat? If you had a choice to go see either one, which would you go see?" And I was like, "Well, basically, if it was up to me and I had to choose to go to the movies to see either one of those movies, my first option would be not to go to the movies. But in this case, I just kind of felt like, you know, I thought they were both equally not my jam. You know what I'm saying? That I mean, I'll break it down. Mortal Kombat, a fighting movie with some of the worst fighting choreography ever. I'm just putting it out there. Like, I wasn't really impressed. I know they tried to keep to the theme of the game, and me and my son, we even talked about this. I was like, well, even in the game, it's not like the moves are really, you know, the game is sold off of the fatalities and all that kind of stuff. Let me rip somebody's spine out and all blah, 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 right? It's not really like a high aptitude of like, let's go in here and, you know, let's really mix it up. It's not like a John Wick movie, right?
Okay.
You know, but I mean, it's what it is, you know, for what they made to be. And I don't even play that game, you know what I mean? So I don't play any games really, but that particular one, I you know, it just wasn't my thing, you know what I mean? And I just kind of felt like there was some issues with it that could have been executed a little bit better. There was, without spoiling it, there were some things that they made to be important that when you really looked at it, it was like, why is that important? Oh, because if we don't say this, there's no story to tell, you know? So some of it was this, some of the plot, some of the character development was based off of things that were just fell flat. And they introduced a new character who was the lead, because I had to ask some people, I was like, I don't know this guy, the Cole Young, who is he? And they're like, oh, that's somebody they made up. I'm like, oh, they made him up for the movie? What was that?
I said, I was getting ready to say, because Mortal Kombat used to be my stuff, the game and the old movie.
Have you ever heard of a character named Cole Young?
No.
Well, Cole Young is the main protagonist in the movie, and I'm like, you got like 50 characters you can pick from. You know, I mean, like, you ain't got to make up nobody new. You can just
right.
Like, so I didn't see what the significance of having that character involved in it was for, and it seemed like if it was the route it went was that, and I'm gonna say this, it never got to a point of Mortal Kombat, right? It was just let's work everything in before we actually get there, right? So you never really get Mortal Kombat, but you get fighting and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to spoil what I mean by that, but when you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, I mean, there were some things I thought that were good on how it tied back to the video game. And I guess it was like, for example, I guess it was fan service, right? Not the fan service I thought that makes a good movie, but the fan service that may appeal to people who really like that franchise.
Okay. Now, what's your boy's name that's supposed to be the new host of Jeopardy?
Are you talking about Alex? I'm sorry. I'm
like, not Alex Quebec.
No, his name is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback.
That's who is gonna be the new host. I thought it was.
Well, I know he had.
guy.
Well, let me put it like this.
Yeah.
I know he did like a week or so of the show. He was a guest host.
Yeah, but the one that got the job, he's an actor. You know who I'm talking about? What's
Reading Rainbow?
Yeah, that's the guy. Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow.
It's LeVar Burton got the job.
Yes.
What I thought.
The Lord. Praise
Yes.
the Lord.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the Reading Rainbow guy. I knew he looked familiar. Yes.
And Star Trek. Reading Rainbow and Star Trek.
Yeah.
Kunta Kinte. Come on now.
I didn't know
Kunta Kinte. Yeah. Yeah.
I know Aaron Rodgers was a guest host. Now I gotta go look at this now.
You got to look and see. I saw it. It came into my news. I was like, that's the Reading Rainbow guy. Yes. Because see, I'm not the movie watcher. That's why Rugel's here.
Yeah, but I mean, I know the guy. I didn't know that though.
And look, when she said Reading Rainbow, I was like, I knew he looked familiar. Yes. Kunta Kinte. Yeah, I think he did.
Oh, this was 2 days ago.
Yes, it's hot off the press.
Wow, no wonder. My press is cold. My press started. My press stopped. Hey, Friday morning after I watched all my television, I was like, my press is stopped. The only thing I look for on today is like new birthdays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what'd you say? Your press in the refrigerator with the tuna salad.
You know, but like, you know, all the steam getting put out of it. You know, on another related topic, not really my area, but we haven't talked about it. You know, Shock G died.
Yes.
Like Ron, Shock G, DMX. What is
Wait a minute. Listen, let's talk about Shock G right now. because DMX, we know he was on life support the whole night, but Shock G, that was really a shocker to me. No pun intended. But here's what's interesting. Speaking of Rugo the Movie Guy, remember we saw Coming to America? Remember they kept referring to the Humpty Dance, that song, remember? Stop what you're doing because I'm about to, they kept referring to that. And I'm thinking, when I was sitting, I was like, wow, they just did that in the new movie, the Humpty Dance. So for those who don't know who Shock G is, that's the one that say in the 60s, now my Humpty nose will tickle your rear.
Yeah.
My nose is big. And listen, I'm singing them songs young, not even realizing, look, now I know what it means. Before I did, and I'm just singing along. Gotta watch what you're singing. What'd you say, Nick?
Yeah, you definitely gotta work it. You know, kids were singing and everything, little kids. Now we know what it means for real.
Right, now I know what it means. Before I was like, I'm just singing along, like, you know, doing the doggone thing. But yes, that was something. And he died at what, 57? 57.
He was 57.
Yeah.
That's our number today, isn't it?
And the way he died, though, they said he died in his hotel room. Like, wow.
Yeah.
What
What happened?
And they made one of the probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums in hip hop.
Who, Digital Underground?
Yeah, that first one. Oh man, that was the best.
Yes, it was.
A lot of sampling.
You know what? Yes.
Everybody get paid, but but it's great.
Yeah, it is. It is. Matter of fact, Tupac, wasn't he with Digital Underground at the beginning?
He started with Digital Underground.
Wait a minute, what? Yep. Okay, what'd you say?
I clown around when I hang around.
Oh man,
That's
listen,
right? Yeah.
You remember that, Nick? Listen, that was he was like, his little segment was like the best anyway.
Yeah, he was on the same song.
All around the world. Look, now I got to find my song.
Look, now we got to do the Humpty Dance.
Yeah. A lot, yes. All around the world. Listen, as soon as Pac came on, listen, give him the mic. He up here, like Nas say, one mic. When Pac came on there, boom. That's the part I think everybody started singing along to, wasn't it? Like you could be in the club when Pac's part came, everybody started singing along. Everybody knew that one. Go ahead, Rugo.
No, I mean, that was because I remember.
Go ahead with Pac's part. No, go ahead.
No, I can't remember. I know clown around when I hang around with the underground. Something the girls used to frown, such and such. I can't remember. But anyway, because I remember I see guys and girls dancing. Remember that? That was what was the name of that? I see guys. It was. I can't even think of the name of the song. But I remember they used to be a main staple on that Rap City and Yo TV Raps. You know what I mean? You check that out after school.
Yes.
Me and my boy John Wilson.
Figuring out
the dance routine.
Okay, to see all these, obviously y'all step when y'all got to the party. What we gonna do? Everybody clear the floor. Everybody clear the floor.
Clear the floor. Clear
the floor. Nick, you were saying like you said DMX,
Black Rob.
Oh, Black Rob. Yeah, that was one.
Like,
yeah.
whoa.
Like whoa.
Like look,
yeah.
Right.
All of our legends, man. What's going on?
Now here's the thing. I think a bad lifestyle, at least with some of them, you know, DMX had an addiction.
Yeah.
And
the lifestyle that finally caught up to him. But
you know what though? But look at what's happening even with the younger generation. So you have like the new rappers. And even before, like way back, that whole party scene. Let's go with Rick James. You know, that whole party scene, it almost
he had a
came
whole
with it was part of the job description. And the reason I say that is because that's the whole party, the studio, like, and it was that whole lifestyle. People think that you have to get high and party and get drunk. You know, you're in the studio. This is what we do. Whole bunch of girls, you know what I mean? And they have glorified that where an addiction is just that. This is what you do all the time. This is my routine. So, i.e., you become addicted, you know, and that's in that industry, even though we do know that addiction comes from poor coping skills, you know. So, you know, some people who didn't have an addiction but try to fit in, and they get into the music industry, and it's like, this is what we're supposed to do in order for me to, air quotes again for the listening audience, fit in. This is what I have to do. And then there's that addiction. Then you have the addiction, like I said, from poor coping skills and your upbringing, children, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, this is why they are addicted. And then you got the other ones that be like, this is why they're addicted, because they want to be socially accepted in the music industry. So a lot of people don't understand that. I have somebody that was in it, and they're looking at they're glorifying, like, okay, let's make it rain. The money. No, you ain't got no money for your next session, but you gonna make it rain at the club. Like, come on. But people they're glorifying it and making it socially acceptable, and that's an issue. And we remember, like, back in the day, you had a group of 8, you had that one friend that'd say something nutty, like, we need to go rob a bank, and the other 7 is looking like, are you crazy? Where
Right.
now, let's fast forward, you have that group of 8 people, and you got 8 of them saying we need to rob a bank, and then you got that one to be like, I'm going to the house. You know what I mean? So things are changing. How do you suggest that we kind of get back to the basics? Because we see this stuff, it's clear, it's in our face. And I'm gonna go with Rugal. I want you to start with that. How do you think, how do you suggest that we get back? And I know that, you know, you have a degree in early education, you have a master's. Talk to us.
It's in health and human services.
I know something, but I know you was with the little people. I know all the time with the low people. Go ahead.
I mean, you know, it's one of those things where you kind of say, like, you know, what do people value, and how do you and then how do you put that first? So how do you suggest we change that? Because when you say values, you're absolutely right. People are losing their values. But I mean, I think that values, some values are based on situation. You know,
like the
you know
father
what I mean? So,
that kicked that girl. Like, who does that?
Man, well, there's so many things he did wrong. That was the least. That was the least of them, right? But you know, I mean, that's the thing. Is like, what value system? What does that look like to you? What is your family known for? You know, what are you going to do to just improve upon that next generation? You know, it's such a, I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer. I think everybody has to take a level of accountability for what they want in life. And, you know, I know there's obstacles that will stop you that are beyond your control, but but have that redeeming resilience, you know, not to fall victim to just a trap. Go ahead, Amber. What's your thoughts? What's your suggestion?
I would say,
and
like,
you too in early education
a little bit lightly. I would say that Black parents, Black parenting, don't let your child listen to music that you think is problematic. Take a moment and think about and realize that babies are sponges, and not only are they observing and absorbing everything that they see, hear, and feel, the energies around them, even things that aren't being verbalized or not in front of their face. Kids pick up on all that kind of stuff. And just really being aware and cognizant of that. And, you know, I want to say, who is it? Lil Nas X and Cardi B, point blank said, my music is not for children. Your kids shouldn't be listening to my music. And I think that's correct. I mean, I like, you know, city girls, you know, but that I would not be letting my 6-year-old daughter listen to that. Well, because there's stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I think it goes back to parenting, and everything that you're okay with as an adult, as a seasoned and experienced adult, is not suitable or appropriate for your child. And there's a lot of music that children and young teens, preteens, shouldn't even be listening to. And as a parent, you should be encouraging them not to listen, or don't allow them to listen to it. Okay. Nick, what's your thoughts? Any suggestions?
Yeah, we need somebody to come out and get back to the basic hip hop. We need that. We need parents, like you said, to be the parents from the old school. We got these
Okay.
new school parents that want to be friends with their kids. Nah, bruh. My mom always said, I'm not your friend. I'm your mom. Period. We need all of that. We need all of that back. Like, just get back to the basics, and don't nobody want to do that. Yes, we have to progress and go forward, but as far as like with we need to get back to the basics. We don't need no parents as friends. We need parents as parents with values and everything. Our music, we need to get back to the roots, the old school roots. All this other mess, I mean, the beat's cool and everything, but all that jumble mumble mess that they talked about, and they talked about B's and H's and lean, drinking lean or whatever they did, man, miss me with all that. Give me some good old school hip hop and I'm cool.
Now I'll say this. You're right, Amber, and what Rugal said. That was good. And Nick, what you said as well. But listen, that good old hip hop on Sirius XM, they actually played curse words. We just heard the radio edition of the old school hip hop. Okay. When you brought up Cardi B, yeah, you don't allow your children to listen to it, but I don't think these parents that are having children right now realize that when you play it around your children, you're allowing your children to listen to it.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
There's stuff just like if you're a parent and you got a small child and maybe you need a drink, that's okay, because you need a drink sometimes, but you shouldn't be drinking in front of your child, and you shouldn't be listening to certain kinds of music in front of your child, and you shouldn't be doing certain activities in front of your child. And there's this, there's like a lack of boundaries in parenting.
Okay. And like the Little Nas X, that's his preface is Lil, Lil. So young children will be drawn to the Lil. Like, remember it was a Lil Bow Wow. Now he dropped the Lil. Now he's shot.
Well, I feel like we can have a whole conversation of black male rappers and the Lil and the Baby, the one that's actually named Baby.
And that's funny, he 1,000. I'm like, you're 1,000 years old talking about some baby. And
right, yeah, it's and I think, and it's not even just like we're talking about, the content of the music is all really low vibrational, toxic, and negative. And so it's not even just like hip hop or being allowed to use, like, what is the message? And people say, oh, it's about the beat, it's not about the words. So you absorb the words. The words matter.
And then you get them little kids that can say a word for word. They say it ain't about the words, but then you got these little 2, 3, 4-year-olds that can say it to you word for word.
Well, Amber said it. They're sponges, so they're getting it. Let me say this. The other day, 2 days ago, I'm listening to West Side Connect. Okay, for the Bow Down. That's what I was listening to. And it bangs. And I'm older. And I'm listening to the West Side Connection. And Mac 10's line, come on, I'm like, yeah, I get a phone call. During this phone call, I answer the phone and I hear somebody crying on the other end. It's my cousin. So naturally, mind you, I'm listening to West Side Connection. Where are you? Because I'm coming through, you know what I'm saying? So when you say the energy, yes, it matters. I'm like, somebody bothering my little cousin. Well, I had no idea that her mother passed and she was at the hospital. But music will change your mindset. It'll change your whole vibe. And you gotta watch what, even the little people, but as adults, you gotta watch what you listen to. When I walk around the park and it's just me, I'm listening to Pistol Grip Pump on my lap at all times because I know the neighborhood I'm in, and not that I do it, but I'm on the defense. So look at Rugo, listen, you see me with the headphones in. No, I'm listening to Pistol Grip Pump on my lap at all times. But so guess what? Walk up on me if you want to. You know what I'm saying? So the music will get you.
Right. And I think that's something that people who have a vested interest in promoting and spreading toxicity, particularly in the Black community, are adamantly denying. They're adamantly denying how music impacts your psyche, your mood, your perspective, your reactions. Because I think there is vested interest in keeping the Black community dysfunctional and toxic and unproductive.
I think you're right. And I know Nick will agree. Let's talk about this real quick. We got a few moments. Texas, where Nick is at. So you be careful, girl. Texas high school students were on Snapchat. Yeah, it was Snapchat. I had to think of which one. Selling or auctioning off online their Black peers, students from this high school.
What?
Oh yeah, you got to look it up. Yes.
It's not surprising. I'm not surprised.
But wait a minute, 1 second. Now, for the listening audience, I need you guys, check into it. There were students ages 16, 17 that were online auctioning off their Black students. Of course, the students didn't know, and they were cash apping. Like, I'll buy this one, I'll buy that one. Listen, and parents, they want to hold the school accountable, but I think the parents should be held accountable. This is not during school time, even though you met them at school. But who'd have thought that this would be going on right now, even though we already know, but who'd have thought that this would be going on right now, and where would that thought come from to say, okay, well, I got these pictures of, go ahead, Amber.
It's not innocent. It's not a fluke. It's not unusual. This is history. There's nothing to even be confused about. There shouldn't be anything surprising about it, honestly. My question is to those, and I understand, there's challenges and stuff, but I really think that integration and putting your child in an environment where they are one or only a few of the chocolate chips in the batter, so to speak, is so problematic. And why would you expect a tiger to change his stripes?
Okay. My thing is, they're so blatant. Nick, why are they so blatant and just out with it now? What do you think?
There's no repercussions, and there's never been repercussions.
It's his fault. He started all this mess. But you know what? Like you said, I'm glad he was elected, because now what was done in the dark has come to the light, and we now have to deal with this issue. We got to, like didn't I say last week, we need the Black Panthers back?
Okay.
Yes.
What's your thoughts, Rugal?
That's policing our own community, right?
Exactly. And the reason why so many of these non-Blacks are comfortable just walking into the Black community, doing whatever they want without a blink, remorse, second thought, is because the Black community is unprotected. There is no repercussions for coming into Black neighborhoods and destroying them and terrorizing the residents, terrorizing our children. And that is the word. And that's the word they don't want to use with white supremacists. It's terrorists. And that's what they've been doing to our people for hundreds of years, is terrorizing our community.
Right.
Go ahead, Rugal. What's your thoughts? I want you to weigh in on this.
It seems like there's been a pattern here. I was looking at a CNN article, and I guess a week prior to this all happening, there was a flyer out that said the great sale of slaves. And this was Tuesday, April 20th, 2001 at 8:40 a.m. And they
2001 or 2021?
2021, I'm sorry, at 8:40 a.m. And they even break it down. They're up here talking about bucks, winches, $1 age, and all. It's like so crazy, man. Like, I mean, this is definitely showing that there's a systemic issue with racism, and the more we think a generation is becoming more aware of these issues and trying to find ways to vanquish that type of hate, we see that there are segments of our communities that practice it at a very young age. They should be expelled. Period, point blank.
And they should be expelled. And did you see the ages? They're older. They know better.
Right.
Their
Oh,
parents should be held accountable, do some jail time.
Well, I mean, the parents are trying to blame it on the school district when it's like, you know, the only thing in this case, it only seems like the only thing the school provided was them an avenue to talk to each other. Other than that, you know, it wasn't like it was part of a history class. You know?
It was, you know, it was unbecoming behavior. And I do think they should be expelled, but they're not going to. Keep it 100.
Yeah.
You know, because then those parents are going to fight tooth and nail. They'll probably sue the school district and everything else.
But I really think that the case there is for I don't know, they were all Black students who they were auctioning off, but you know, whoever they were doing it, it's like, am I safe in this environment if they're having these fantasies?
Exactly. And they're not safe. And that's reality.
Yeah. I mean,
Black people are not safe in predominantly white environments.
Right.
And that's the truth. I mean, I remember several years ago, there was a Black lady that mysteriously killed herself at a slumber party with a bunch of other adults, and she was the only Black person there.
What? What? How
Yeah.
did I miss this?
I remember that. It was ruled a suicide.
Yeah, I think I did hear that, because I'm licensed to carry. Play with me if you want to.
But I think it's not even, why would you even put yourself in that situation? Why would you put your child in that situation? No.
Just like that daycare. Do you remember the daycare where they were feeding the white children before the Blacks, and the Black children were just sitting there patiently, you know? And this was supposed to be a higher end daycare center where you're able to view, and the parent was able to view his child sitting there waiting patiently with the other Black children that were sitting there waiting patiently. So they started young. Look, they're
exactly,
young
and they're instilling
right.
They're instilling subjugation.
Right,
and that's you know.
So just like Rubo was pretty much saying, start them young, be impactful young. We have to build them up. We can't tell our little children, oh, okay, you just like your no good daddy. And you know, that's you can't do that and say that because you're unhappy in the situation. We need to build everyone up. We need to build our little people up. And just as Amber said, as far as like the music, not allowing them to listen to certain music, you have to pay attention. And unfortunately, parents, and this is of all races, parents, you are accountable, you are responsible, you are accountable for the well-being of your child, okay, or your children, now you're not, let me say this, you're not accountable for your neighbor, but I would think that you would want to protect your neighbor. Today's footnote: safety is more important than convenience, people. Safety is more important than convenience. That is my time, lovely people. I thoroughly enjoyed you, as I do each and every single Saturday. Find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always, always love you. Until next week, people.
ShopTalk.